Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of It's All Been Done Before. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. This is also available on the YouTube channel if you're listening to the audio on all different platforms for podcasts. And today we have a very exciting guest, Fabio Attanasio, and we'll get into a little bit about how we met. But as you know, this podcast is about It's All Been Done Before. And what has been done before? Well, many people who are in business, want to get into business or start a business, most likely their idea has been done before and other people have done it. But my guests have found a way to take their business, their niche, and maybe do it a little differently with a little different idea, and they make it successful for themselves. And they've been a success at it. And here today, like I said, we have Fabio here, and it's 12:30 in the afternoon in New York, where I am. He is at home in Milan. His business day is over. It's 6:30 p.m. there. And we're going to have a nice conversation about men's clothing and menswear and fashion, Italian fashion, because most of you who know me, I have an Italian fashion business, and Fabio is also an expert in the men's clothing and Italian fashion and custom made clothing, maybe per se, and he'll elaborate more on that. So thanks, Fabio, for coming on the podcast today.
Hi, Philip, and thank you very much. Hi, everyone.
So we met basically over Instagram,
Exactly.
Quite a few years ago, pre-pandemic.
Yes.
And we actually met face-to-face one time.
Yeah. While I was in New York.
Yes, it was in New York. We went out for espresso doppio. Did I say it right?
With the Italian accent as well.
Yes, we went out for an espresso. We had a nice conversation about clothing. And Fabio, who grew up in Naples, right? And now you live in Milan.
Exactly. Yes, I moved here when I was 19. So quite a long time ago.
So I read in your bio that you actually obviously went to school, but you went to law school. So are you an official lawyer in Italy? If you wanted to practice, you could practice law?
In Italy, when you graduate from law school, you're basically a doctor in law, and then you just have to take another exam just to become a lawyer. There's no distinction between barrister, as you guys in America have. So I just graduated from law school. So officially I'm a doctor in law, but never practiced it. So don't ask me anything about law, please.
But somewhere along the way, you went from becoming a lawyer and you were extremely interested in men's clothing and men's fashion, specifically maybe how suits are made.
Exactly. Yes. I had such a deep passion for the industry that at a certain point I said, why don't I follow this inner voice? And that happened. That has been happened gradually, if I may say so, because at the beginning I thought that, I was convinced that I was going to be a lawyer or something, and that I needed to be that, but there was something inside me telling me that probably that was not my greatest passion. And so I went to Argentina, where I studied for 6 months at Universidad de Buenos Aires. And I always say that I arrived to Buenos Aires thinking that in my life I would be a lawyer. And I went back to Milano 6 months later, knowing that I didn't want to be a lawyer in my life. So then I wanted to follow that project that I had in mind. And that's how it started. That's how the Bespoke started. I came back to Milano in late 2011, and in 2012 I opened this blog without any business plan behind, without any strategic, reason, without any project, any real project. Just moved by this passion. I started knocking at the doors of tailors. And and I started a journey that it's still going on. It's still going on. I mean, I still visit tailors. I still love visiting and knowing and meeting, knowing the stories behind new tailors that I visit every time I get the chance to. So it's a long journey, and either you have a real passion for it, otherwise in my opinion, I wouldn't have done it. Because at the beginning, on top of that. At the beginning, the project was not profitable at all. So
right.
You got to be very, very passionate, to do that, in order to do that.
So you dove right in, which sometimes is the best way to do it. Sometimes if you start with the business plans and you plan, you never really start, because you say, oh, I have to have the perfect moment to jump in, and there's never a perfect moment. So
exactly,
you could have really done it the right way. Let me just do it and see where it takes me. And
That's what I did.
so the name of your, was an actual company at the beginning, or was it just a blog called the Bespoke Dudes?
Was a blog. It was a blog, and then I opened up, my like a sort of company in order, to when it became a business, I had to create my own company, and then that's how basically it started. I was knocking at the doors of these tailors that didn't know me. I was neither a customer nor a journalist, so I was just wasting their time, in their opinion, at the beginning. They were all very suspicious, but then after the first few months, they understood that I just wanted to give visibility. They just wanted to tell their stories to the readers, to my readers. And so they opened up. So they understood. I never wanted to be a tailor in my life. I just had such a deep respect and fascination for the industry that they understood, and they opened up. And that was probably one of the turning points, in the relationship with the tailors, because they're always basically, every tailor is very jealous about his craft, understandably. So they are reluctant to open up to someone else about the way they do something,
Sure.
Especially because they are afraid, that you might want to be a competitor,
Of course, you'll open your own shop.
But then, exactly. But that's not what I want. I've never wanted to do that in my life, and I just wanted to be an ambassador, or let's say someone who reports this fascinating industry, and probably I always say that 30, 40 years ago, I would have worked as a lawyer, as a journalist. But now I do that with other means. I did it with a blog, and then I keep doing that with social media. I'm doing it with the books that I'm writing. So Scent of Tailoring, Volume 1 and Volume 2, that is going to be published in a few months. So that's it. At the end of the day, you use a lot of means, but the consistency is always there. The topic is always at the center, craftsmanship, bespoke tailoring, quality, excellence, stories of people that I love telling. That's the main point.
So at the beginning, you really didn't have any experience yourself in how things were tailored. You didn't come from a tailoring background or a clothing background or anything like that. But as you visited these individual tailors, you were learning also yourself. They were sort of teaching you and showing you things, because now you have a vast knowledge of tailoring.
At the beginning, I was in Italian, we say sbarbatello, like a rookie, someone who doesn't know anything.
That word sounds like that.
Yeah, exactly. And, I would give for granted everything that they would tell me, and everyone, I remember at the beginning, everyone would stress a lot this handmade thing, everyone would tell me, Fabio, this jacket is completely handmade. We make it in 60 hours, everything is handmade. And I was fascinated, I was fascinated by this thing. Then you grow up, and you understand that not everything is the turning point. What makes a difference, the added value, is not only given by the handwork. It's given by something else. When last month I was in London to interview Huntsman, Dario Carnera, head cutter, told me what makes a great tailor different from the others is the rock of eye. They call it the rock of eye. Don't ask me why, but it's basically the ability of the tailor to go beyond the measurements and the technique in order to create something beautiful. And it's not a rule of thumb. It varies from customer to customer. So when I understood that, I basically realized that it was a kind of art. And every tailor is really, the big ones are able to make, let's say, masterpieces, that are not only just, a simplified, execution of a number of measurements. It's the mix between the techniques and the aesthetics and these. And that's what I was saying, the rock of eye, that the ability to make something beautiful, to work with proportions, to work with millimeters sometimes, that make the whole difference.
Because when you actually think about it, my background, also, I'm not a tailor, but I've been in the
Yeah,
men's business for so long and seen many tailors work. So you learn about
yeah,
tailoring, even though you actually can't do the work yourself. And when you
yeah,
think about it, when you're making a custom suit, it's only flat fabric. And the
yeah,
canvas that's inside, if it's a well-made suit, that also starts out flat. But in some way, in the end, it winds up as a molded piece of a garment that
yeah,
actually molds and fits to the body even better
exactly.
as more times you wear it.
Yeah, from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions, and that's where the most of the tailors, the best tailors are masters in this thing, in passing through from a 2 dimension flat piece of fabric to a 3 dimension piece of clothing. In that change, many get lost. Only real masters, are able to understand the difference, from one dimension to the other.
Mhm.
And to be honest, I've seen a lot of interesting things in France, for example, where they use a technique that helps them to go through from 2 dimension to 3 dimensions with this technique that which I would talk about in the book. To be honest, it's called in France they call it moulage. Basically, they measure you, and then they put on you a jacket which is completely basted without sleeves, in order to, and you would say, so it's a test garment, so it's a made to measure. No, absolutely. When they do bespoke, they use these, they call them toile d'essayage. So it's basically like a fitting garment without sleeves. And while the customer is wearing this jacket, they unbaste it, they unstitch it and stitch it back while he's wearing that jacket, in order to understand, the lower right side, the
Mhm.
left right side, the position of the body, the position of, many things. And this helps them to cut a better first fitting,
It
instead
really
of,
makes
doing like
sense.
many, yeah,
They
instead
want to
of
see
doing like
where it's going
many
to
other.
naturally fall on
Exactly,
the body.
exactly, exactly. And that's very interesting. I'm sorry to, to doing this technical detour, but you
No, but that is very
came to my
interesting
mind.
because you usually
Yeah,
don't see that.
yeah,
Maybe in terms of, even if it's custom, they want to make it faster. It's an extra long step that not
yeah,
only the tailor has to do, but the customer has to come
yeah.
into the tailor shop and try something again, another
Yeah,
fitting of some sort.
actually, they do that on the same meeting where they get the measurements.
Mhm.
So they measure you. They say, okay, you are the closest size for you is a 50, for example. They
Mhm.
get the sample garment without sleeves for the 50. They adjust it, and then based on what they see from
Right.
that test garment, they cut the actual fabric that you have chosen, and they make it ready for the first fitting. This is very, very interesting. And it's a way basically to make a more accurate first fitting. That's it.
No, it absolutely sounds like it. And so seeing all of these individual tailors, a lot of people, they know, when you say a garment is handmade, all of these big Italian brands that have stores all over the world that have very expensive suits. And, we can name a few brands if you want to name a few, but they're mostly handmade. They're not all handmade, but they're known as the handmade brands, internationally made brands. And the small tailors don't have any of that sort of exposure. They're seeing one customer at a time, making one at a time. So how do you see the difference between, all of these tailor houses that you visit versus some of the bigger houses that are well known in Italy and around the world?
Well, I mean, there is
Like factory
no.
produced, hand
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
finished.
As long as the communication is true, I mean, I'm totally okay with it. There is no better or worse, in my opinion. You might wanna. I always say you don't have necessary to get a bespoke suit. If you are not someone who can appreciate it, don't get it. Just get something else, or a good made to measure. Or for many people, Philip, to be honest, we see the millimeter here,
Yeah.
the little fold here. 99% of the people probably don't care about these things. So you gotta dress for yourself, not because it's a status to have a bespoke suit made by that famous tailor. If you are not into that, and you might be not into that because there are many things. You might be interested in cars, or you might be a geek about watches or
Mhm.
whatever. Just get what makes you happy. To be honest, I was very extremist at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
When I started. So everyone, oh, yeah, why do you wear that? I mean, if you don't care, up to you. The thing is, sometimes the problem is, in my opinion, when you want to exploit the commercial advantage of the handmade thing, and you fool customers. That's not right. That's not. This is not acceptable, of course.
Yeah, when you say
So brands,
handmade and it's not really
yeah,
handmade.
handmade, and it's not actually handmade,
Right.
or you just have an embroidered buttonhole on the
Sure.
lapel, and you say that the suit is handmade. That's not what makes the real difference. So it's up to us. It's up to the brands to be more, accurate with their communication. It's up to the tailors as well to now digital communication after the pandemic, especially, is even more approachable to everyone. uh, I mean, tailors need to communicate more about what they do. Of course, if they have an heritage, they have a story, they already have something to tell. But if you are a young tailor and you want to make uh, you want to grow your business, etc., you gotta tell people what's behind your products, because people many times don't even have a clue about what there is, what the amount of work that there is behind the bespoke suit. I always remember when I talk about this, I always remember about my friends Agustin and Lucia from Sastreria Serna in Madrid. They started selling courses, online classes for bespoke tailoring. Okay, they said after selling these classes, which became quite very well, I mean, they became a business case for them. A lot of customers said, I had no idea that there is this amount of work behind a suit, and now I'm more willing to spend, the money that you guys
Mhm.
charge for your suit, because people sometimes they see, if you're let's take diamonds, for example, another word, interesting industry. If you're not someone from the industry, you don't know that there are so many characteristics that make the final price, and it's not only the clarity of the stone that makes the price. Same thing goes for us. We are into this industry, so we know, as you were saying at the beginning, that there is the house canvas, the full canvas, the fused construction, the aligned construction, whatever, and then there's the fit. Many people don't have a clue how to evaluate the fit of a jacket. They just go with it. They say, okay, it's made by a tailor, so it's fine.
Right.
Absolutely,
Right.
many times, many. And just to sum up, it's up to us to communicate more, to tell the beauty of this industry. It's up to the brands to be honest and to be true to themselves. And also, I feel like tailors need to tell to do an extra step in order to go outside and tell them the beauty of their industry, so that people are more willing to spend the amount that they charge.
Yeah, so I like you said, I noticed on social media over the years, when I know you have a nice following on Instagram, and you could explain why you chose Instagram as opposed to some other social media platforms. I think you really just focus on Instagram for the most part. But what's interesting is that there are tailors and other brands that I know, and probably that are from Italy, who you would never know they existed if it wasn't for social media. And all of a sudden, I see them on Instagram. I'm like, I know that brand because I saw it at Pitti Uomo in Florence, and I saw it,
Mhm.
5 years ago, 10 years ago, and they've been around a very long time, and they make a beautiful product, but nobody knows them outside of their small market. But the social media has allowed them to really show their products, whether it's a leather belt or a bag or socks, or even suits. And a lot of these smaller brands have gotten big followings because of social media.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives a free exposure to brands. Of course, I started with Instagram because it was the big thing back then. In 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when I started on Instagram, I've grown. There were many, way less people than there are today. On Instagram, way less users.
Yeah.
So it was easier also to grow a following, a follower base. And basically, what I was doing was telling the people, whenever I would publish a new post on the blog, I would tell them I would create a post on social media in order to, tell my readers that there was a new article online. So that's how I started. And then it was I stayed there because it was the only platform that allowed me to grow at the beginning a lot. Then things have changed a lot since the first days.
Yeah, now you have
But
to spend
still,
money on advertising to really gain a following.
everything, etc. But to be
Yeah.
honest, the algorithm is continuously changing. So creators who are actual creators still, can make a difference today. I noticed it whenever after my trip to London, in a week I published a post every day regarding a different tailor with some photos, some videos, and a text, talking about my comments about their jackets. In 10 days time, I basically my followers went from 337 to 340,000. So
It's a
and
nice big increase in
that's
a short
because
amount of time.
if yeah, it's a big increase in a short amount of time. And so this is just to say, if you have a content, if you're not just, advertising products, people at the end reward you and they start following you. Of course, it's a job. It's a
Yeah,
job. So
yes, they become interested in your story and interested in your journey, and they want to also you're sort of educating people. So if they're interested in the topic, they want to always learn more. People like to
exactly,
educate themselves, and they want to learn
exactly.
more. So you said the bespoke dudes, and I remember years ago I saw a post of yours where it's a piece of fabric, and on the edge it says embroidered in the fabric, it says bespoke, the bespoke dudes. So do you
Yeah.
actually have your own fabrics being made by a mill that people use to make suits?
That was a project, a very nice project that we made with Lanificio Cerruti
Oh,
back in the
Shirudi.
days.
Yeah.
Yes, with Senior Nino, which I remind him with a lot of affection. Um, I remember him, sorry, with a lot of affection. And basically, we decided to go in their archive, and I picked one of the patterns from 1987, my birth year,
Uh-huh.
and we worked with their styling department in order to find a combination of colors, and that's how we made these three fabrics with the salvage name that carried the bespoke dudes
Right.
on it. So it was a very, very nice project. I was happy to do that, and then some tailors even bought it actually back in the days.
Right.
I remember some of them even made suits. I had a suit made out of it, one of the
Sure.
fabrics. So yeah, that's how it went.
So from bespoke dudes and the clothing, which you're already running your blog and things are going fairly well, you got interested in eyewear.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how do you go from that? I mean, it's all luxury and fashion. Eyewear is fashion, but how do you go from
yeah.
the suits to eyewear as opposed from suits to? I know you did shoes at some time also, but how do you go from suits to eyewear as opposed to doing another line that would be more
Yeah,
clothing related?
yeah, I would make one step backwards
Yeah.
and tell you, basically, I was being a creator, okay? So I was working, I was creating content for brands in order to give exposure to them, whilst I was doing the poetry, telling stories about tailors and craftsmen, okay? That was my activity back in 2014, 2015. Then a brand, an Italian brand, was founded by two guys who are dear friends, Enrico and Jacopo. Basically, this brand was East Alaska Milano. They approached, they reached out to me And they said, Fabio, we talk the same language. We talk to the same audience. Why don't we think about a collection, of shoes, and we call it the Bespoke Goods for Velasca. Which I said, why not? We made a couple of, I'm not a designer at all. I said it at the beginning, I had a low background,
but you're not a designer, but you have a very high taste level.
I have my own taste. Thank you for saying it's
not everybody has those things. You don't have to be a designer, of course, but you have a high taste level. You know what goes with what, you know about colors,
exactly,
and you know what you like.
Have my taste. And that's what I did. Basically, I worked with their artisans in order to, like same thing as I do with the tailors. Whenever I want to have 13 centimeter lapel or a patch pocket on the chest or wherever, or 3 buttons on the sleeve, etc. That was the same thing. And
you like 3, I like 4. See, I like 4.
Yeah. Sometimes I get.
But you're wearing a blazer and I'm wearing a suit, so it's different.
Exactly. Sometimes I even go with one.
Okay.
Very. Okay, so the collection was a success. I think they've sold more than 3,000 pairs over a couple of years.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So yeah, they were very happy. They were selling a lot. I was getting the royalties. So
that's
very happy.
That's even more fantastic.
Exactly. So they were very happy. So I basically went from being a creator to be a co-creator. Okay, right. So I created something with the brand. So it's a step from being just a creator of content. I became a co-creator of a product with another brand. I felt the need, to create something that was mine.
So that was collaboration between your brand, Bespoke Dudes, and their brand. And did that also help elevate your blog and all of the tailor stories and things like that?
It gave me, back in the days, it gave me a lot of exposure as well. Right. And it was vice versa. It was a two-way collaboration. And I'm very, very happy, to have met these people, to have met Jacopo and Enrico. And because they grew, time is, we say, time is a gentleman, we say in Italian. It's a way of saying, because now actually, many years later, the brand we in 2019 we launched a new collection, and it was going very well before what happened in March 2020. But now again, sales are picking up and the brand is growing a lot. So we're talking about a brand that has 20 million revenue. So which in Italy is a good revenue. I know for
20 million
United
euros.
States, 20 million euros revenue. Yeah. So I know for United States, probably you guys do it in the first year, but
no.
but
Look, there's plenty. What runs the U.S. economy is the startup small business.
Yeah,
everything is a small, startup. That's what gives people jobs. In this country.
So I went from being a co-creator of something to being a creator, because in 2015 I decided with a business partner that it was time for us to create a product that was consistent with the topic that I used to address in the blog. So craftsmanship, quality, excellence, etc. So we went to the northern east part of Italy, Cadore, which is in Veneto. And it's a district of excellence for the Italian acetate optical glasses, basically, sunglasses and glasses. There you have, back in the 80s and 90s, you had 40, 50 small. I was there last weekend, a few days ago. The guy told me, our supplier told me the other day on Saturday, in the 80s, every building here in the town, in the village, had their basement with machineries in order to make glasses. And it reminded me so much of the same stories that I had heard in Montegranaro when I went, for Velasca to talk to the artisans, because in Montegranaro, in Italy, it's the same thing. You have a district of excellence for shoes, and every building, every family had their garage or basement where they would make shoes. So you see, there is a fil rouge, there is a a link between these stories. You know, whether you make glasses or shoes or suits, etc. If you are an artisan, there is and this is probably one of the most fascinating parts of my country, you know, of Italy. You have these districts, you have these stories of people, you know, so it's very fascinating. So we went there, and the very first order was 21 pieces. I always say that because it's interesting. 21 pieces. Nobody would ever, you know, if we had gone to China, probably we would have had minimum order quantities of 5,000 pieces.
Of course, probably more.
Even more now. Yeah, exactly. So we were there 21 pieces. And in 2021, we've sold 10,000 pieces.
Wow, it's fantastic.
Goal this year is 14,000. So
do you remember what I said to you when we met for espresso? You probably don't remember what I said.
It was a long time ago.
I know, but what you said to me about you were doing the glasses. I guess you were just starting. That was like 2016, maybe, right?
Yeah, it was
somewhere
the beginning,
2017. I said, you know something? The glasses have become very big for you. I said that exactly to you. I remember saying it because I knew right away that's going to be a big thing. You know, a blog is nice to have, but it's hard to make money from it. It's hard to get followers. But if you have a product that's, you know, really artisan and small batches and you could tell a story behind it, I said, that's going to be a big thing for you. See, now you just said 10,000 pairs of glasses. That's incredible.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. And of course, I owe it to the team that I have, because, you know, we are 6 people now full time working on the project. And I owe it, of course, to our customers because they are the most important part of our business. But, you know, we've always been true to ourselves. Also, you know, talking about consistency, we didn't go to Portugal or whatever. I'm not talking about quality. I'm talking about supporting an heritage of an industry made of families who are artisans who are very specialized in that thing, you know. So just to give you an example, just to give you an idea, our artisan for acetate only makes acetate glasses. If you want to have so like the ones you're wearing, if you want to have a pair of glasses like the one I'm wearing right now, you gotta go to another kind of another artisan who is specialized in metal,
material.
You know? Yeah, exactly. And then if you want to have another like horn or buffalo horn, you got to go to another one as well. We specialized in exotic, you know, materials, etc. So this is a fascination. It's like going to the tailor, and the tailor makes only the jacket. People don't know that, but most of the people in bespoke tailoring, tailors only make jackets, and then there is a trouser maker who makes the trousers.
Of course, yes.
You know, this distinction is
that's how it is. That's how it is in Italy. I know from my own experience. You know, going so many years and looking at different lines, and you know, buying for my stores with my father over the years, that you have specific, of course, they're the big houses that make everything, suits, jackets, pants, coats, they do it all, but there are specific companies that only specialize in one thing. And you may have done a cross promotion in not so long ago with a company that makes gloves. And I'm not sure which brand, but I found a company.
Mazzoleni.
Mazzoleni at Pitti, and I saw them at Pitti. It must have been it was probably 2012 or 2011 when I found them at Pitti. And as soon as you know, when you're in the business a long time and you see a product, you don't have to look inside and you don't have to examine it so closely. You see it, you're like, oh, this is a good product. So you go into their booth and you get to talking, you know, where do you make it and the price points and this and that. And I bought those gloves for my store. And I bought the Carpincho. And I bought
the Peccari.
I bought the Cervo, the deer skin.
Cervo. Okay.
And I bought, of course, the Napa, the plain leather. And I was able to pick which color cashmere I wanted on the inside, and the pick stitching on the fingers. You could pick the colors to match other colors. And then I bought only a few pairs because it was very expensive. I bought the crocodile on the top of the hand and the kid skin on the underside of the hand.
Wow.
So I had those gloves in my store. So now people come to the store and they see the prices. And Mazzoleni, the prices are not low. Even for the basic glove.
Top level,
Yeah. So I think the Cervo at that time was like maybe $600 or $700 for the gloves at that time. I mean, we're talking already more than 10 years ago. And I had the crocodile and the kid skin. That was $1,650 for that pair of gloves.
Wow.
So now you have to explain to the customer. If you have a customer who says, "Oh, let me see those gloves," well, why is it so? I could go to Saks. There's $95 for leather gloves there.
Yeah.
So what is the difference? So what I always would say is, the Italians, they are artists. This is an art form. This company only makes one thing: gloves for men and for women, and they make a whole business out of it. And it's an art. Here's the art. How is it going to fit your hand? This is the art. Every finger, it has to fit. Your fingers have different sizes, has to fit the finger. I said, as soon as you try the glove on, as soon as you put it on, you can feel how it fits right away. That's why I tell people also with a very good suit, you try on a very good suit. You don't need a mirror. You put it on your body right away. You could feel how it slips on your shoulders, how it fits under your arm, how the button closes on your body. You can know right away how it's hugging you, that this is a very well-made type of garment.
Definitely.
So that's just one company that specializes in one thing. But that's how I always explained it to customers, even to today. But especially when they would come into the store and they would say, "Well, why is the price so high?" Or "How is it made?" And those types of things. And then something very interesting happened. I was walking by Prada on Fifth Avenue and 57th Street, and I saw my gloves in the window. I saw the crocodile with the kid skin, and I went in. And I said, "How much?" They were
probably made by them.
They do. They told me they make some Prada. They make some of the product for Prada. So I said, "How much are the gloves?" I went in to ask the price because my price was $16.50. The price in Prada, of course, it has the Prada label. I had the factory label, Mazzoleni label. $2,950.
Wow. Yeah, you see why brands are
That's also something about this business. That's a whole other story.
About
of
course, different
pricing
costs,
and the profit.
Exactly.
And the big brands, how much money they have to make to sustain all the stores and all the advertising and
exactly
the celebrities they hire to do the photo shoots,
campaigns. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw just the other day on Instagram, Brioni did a post with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He was wearing a beautiful three-piece Brioni suit, with a beautiful shirt with the tie. It was gorgeous on him. He looks great for 59 years old. He looks fantastic for 59 years old. But anyway, the suit was unbelievable, so he was promoting it on his page and they were promoting it on their page. So, and it said there was a stylist. And I commented, "Why do you need a stylist when it's Brioni?" You don't need a stylist because it's
That's right.
So now you have the sunglasses and you have eyeglasses too. It's basically the frames, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you one technical question about frames in general. Mm-hmm. What is the difference, and maybe it's the same, between acetate and resin?
Well, our glasses are made from. This is an interesting thing because many people, get confused. You have two types normally of glasses made of plastic, either the acetate acetato di cellulosa, or you got iniettato. Okay, acetate is the best for artisanal sunglasses. Okay, because you have to make three pieces. Glasses is made from front and two temples. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so the way you assemble them, the way you hone the angles, it basically makes the whole difference quality wise. Okay, so our artisans still apply ages old techniques that with they call it burattatura. For example, you get these big barrels put in the horizontal way that they go rolling and rolling. Imagine that the one pair of all the frontals go in these barrels, and they need to go in 3 different barrels for 3 days in total in order to be completely honed. People don't know that. I mean, this is fascinating. I remember asking my artisan for a campione, a sample, and they told me, and I was like, "Okay, can you make it by tomorrow?" He goes like,
"No way."
It's like, you can't.
People think it gets stamped out in a factory. Stamp it out, stamp, and you have 1,000 pairs in a week.
That's what happens. That's what happens with iniettato. When you talk about €20 worth sunglasses made in China, they are iniettato. Iniettato means that you get the whole piece, like out from a tree, like 3D printing.
Right.
Okay, you get the whole piece, and iniettato is very good, for example, for sportive glasses. So the ones that are more curved, etc.
Yeah,
So
like
not the usual glass.
Sure, like an Oakley or something like that.
Oakley, exactly. Yeah. That for that iniettato, which is way less expensive than acetate, they are good for sportive usage. Okay, but you get one piece out of the machine. Okay, that's the crazy thing. It's like 3D printing, as I say. So. But now we are actually, since January 2020, we launched a collection of made from Bio-Acetate. So thinking about the planet, and since we really believe in what we do and we don't like doing greenwashing, we launched a collection made from this Bio-Acetate, which is basically acetate without plastic. Okay, so it's a compound obtained by wood and cotton. Okay, so natural materials.
Right.
So you get the same performance of the acetate, but you don't get the toxic and toxic materials and of course materials who are not good for the environment that you get with the normal acetate. And this thing has helped us, to be honest, a lot, because our customers are conscious about the environment and are willing to pay even a bit more for a pair of glasses that is respectful of the environment. So, and we're very happy to have a goal of being completely sustainable by the end of 2023. We started with a simple line of our glasses just as a test, and now we are turning the old collections into Bio-Acetate. So we're really believing in it.
Now you show your collection. I saw that you were at Pitti with the glasses collection, with the frames.
Yeah, we do. We did a couple of weeks ago. We took part to Mido. Mido is the most important Italian optical fair. We met some distributors, clients, and it was the first fair after 3 years. So first physical fair. So we were very, very looking forward to it, and it was a good fair. And now we're going to exhibit at PT1 as well in June.
Right.
So, yes.
There's a big fair in New York also at the Jacob Javits Center. Yeah. I'm sure you know about it.
Yeah. Market, right?
Yeah. No, not market. That's for men. But I'm saying there's a big, only a vision fair, only for eyeglasses.
What's the name of that one?
I don't remember the name offhand, but it's a big one. And the Jacob Javits Center on the west side.
Yeah,
so, market is in the Javits Center also, but it's very big.
Yeah,
very, very big.
We would love to take part to some of them when hopefully soon, next year probably.
Yeah, sure, because it's a big expense to come to America and bring all the samples and make samples and have the booth and and all of all of that
and the people,
everything that goes with it. Yeah, you got to bring people.
You remember when we met? I was in New York just for a trunk show. I remember at the beginning I would carry my sample case.
Your sample case. You're carrying suitcases of samples.
With 12 glasses. And I remember I've met some of the shops, for example, in Miami. We still collaborate with the shop that I have met during one of those trips that I used to do.
Sure. So it's your customer.
Really,
it's your customer.
I would literally knock at their door or bump unexpected to their stores, present the collection, and I'm very proud of that.
Sure, of course.
We started from zero, from scratch.
That's really bootstrapping. We call it grinding it out, bootstrapping.
Completely bootstrapping.
Yeah. I look, when I had stores with the open door, how many people would walk in a day? Would you like to see my cufflinks, or I have a sock collection, or I make shirts?
And you hated them, right?
Well, no, it happens. Sometimes you say, you look and you say, okay. Or sometimes you say, look, I have already enough people. I buy shirts from all different people. I can't have a new shirt collection now. It doesn't make sense now. But you take the card and maybe something in the future happens and you
exactly.
Or maybe they'll have some flexibility where they can make something with your label, private label, because you're not going to say to Canali, make the shirts with my name. They don't do that.
Exactly.
They don't do those things. So now isn't the largest eyeglass company in the world Italian? It's Luxottica.
Exactly.
They make all the brands.
Yeah.
So
they're big. They're very big.
Right. So do you see some future saying Luxottica says, hey, we like this TBD eyewear?
Who knows?
You never know.
Who knows?
Yeah, you never
You
know.
never know. You never know. Who knows? Maybe one day. But you really, it's
You're
really
not in it
my.
for that.
I really feel like TBD Eyewear is my baby. So,
Sure.
and after 7 years, of course, things may happen and agreements can be made.
Of course.
But, but I feel like it's my baby, and I'm super proud of having a team now that has grown, and we're really now a brand. And I'm happy to see how the toddler grew up and became like a teenager, because now we're
Right.
like teenagers.
Right. Sure. Sure. So you took all these experiences over all this time. Now you have a lot of business experience now over all these years with, doing wholesale and even going further back into just individual tailoring, but it's really not wholesale. It's like one-on-one, with the customer. And now you have a book that you've already published, volume 1, Scent of Tailoring.
Yes.
Is the name of the book. So is exactly. I haven't seen the book myself. I'd love to get a copy, of course. But is it like a coffee table book with photos, or it's more?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about how you have one there.
Yeah.
let's see what it looks like, because I haven't seen it.
Exactly. I have it here. Yeah. It's
nice.
Here's the
Very
book.
Nice.
I hope the filter doesn't.
No, it's good. It's blurry in and out, but I could see. I could see it.
Yeah. So basically, it's a coffee table book.
Right.
And,
so the cover. Let me say one thing. The cover you just showed, is that like a matte finish paper?
It's like a fabric finish.
Oh, like fabric finish. Okay. Yeah, so that's fashion. Yeah. Making a book has something to do with fashion. See.
Exactly. And it's basically a comparative review. I reviewed 11 tailoring houses, 6 from Italy and 5 from Spain. Covering what I felt were very, had an identity. Not necessarily the most famous ones, but for sure jackets that it was a nice mix between very famous tailoring houses and others.
But Spain is not really known for tailoring per se. Yeah, they have tailors, but
it was not. Spain was not.
They're more known for leather goods and things like that.
Yeah,
that's what they're. The average person. Oh, I went to Spain and they took me to a leather warehouse and I bought 2 leather jackets. That's like the average person on the street.
Yeah. And it's a pity, because there's a huge tradition for bespoke tailoring, and there is also a nice, to be honest, a nice group of people, of tailors in their 40s that are doing a great job in terms of communication and in terms of making the industry less, making it look younger,
less stuffy. So they're young. They're young. So they're young tailors. They're 40s.
Yeah,
they're young.
Exactly. And one of the most interesting things is that the culture of a country is reflected also on the tailoring houses, and on the way each tailoring house conceives its product. What I mean by that, in Italy, I've visited 6 tailoring houses. I've seen 6 different ways of making the jacket, but 6 different ways, not only style-wise, construction-wise. So you go to Milan and they say, okay, the jacket needs to be done with 2 front darts on the front. The bottom needs to be clean. I don't want to see that, etc. You go to Florence and they tell you, we do our jackets is made with just 1 dart on the front, which is curved and slanted until the pocket. You go to Napoli and they make you the first dart long until the bottom.
Right. So let me interrupt you 1 second. You could also right now explain the difference between tailoring and business between the north of Italy and the south.
Yeah.
There's a difference there.
There's a difference, style-wise, construction-wise, everything. I mean, this is the beauty of the country, This is probably the charm of the country, because everyone has his own identity, Where Italy probably has always been a conglomerate of different towns who never felt really united under the same roof, unless we're talking about football, to be honest, which I don't follow.
Right.
So And instead, in Spain, you might see the same construction. They all use the side body, so the second dart cut to the bottom, and then they, of course, they personalize, they customize the front with their specific collar, shape, the specific lapel, inclination of the gorge, and the crown, etc., etc. But at the basis, the fundamentals are, they all share the same fundamentals. In Italy, we don't even share the fundamentals,
right.
And you go to the north and you see jackets which are way more constructed, because of course Milan back in the days was colder. It was of course also closer to London, etc., etc. But then and then you go the more south you go, if I can say so.
Yeah. Well, your hometown.
Yeah,
Naples.
You see the jacket becomes lighter and lighter.
Yeah.
And the colors become brighter and brighter. So
that's very interesting.
Because probably also the weather also, without even you noticing it, influences the way you live, the way you choose your jackets, etc.
Right.
So I would go to Palermo to meet the Creamy family, which I really adore. And they would gift me a double-breasted hopsack in a brick red, super sports jacket. It was a sports jacket, but double-breasted
sports jacket.
Yeah, these things. It's funny. It's funny. And they love colors, and Carmelo would meet me in a yellow gabardine. He was wearing a gabardine, quite not beard yellow, but it was like a mustard.
Sure.
Probably Milan, it's very hard to find people wear these kind of colors, and I love it. This is the difference between the people. So this is the main probably difference between the north and the south. But it's not only north and south Italy. It's every town has its own identity. You go to Rome, Aloisio makes a jacket which is Aloisio jacket. You go to Sicily, and even in Sicily you have two schools. You have Western Sicily and Eastern Sicily.
Right.
So in the West, you can see tailoring houses which are more Sicilian, because they were less influenced by Naples.
Right. So Naples was originally influenced by the British tailoring.
Yeah, exactly. Naples was the first one probably to develop their own an Italian jacket, according to the history.
Right.
Then Milan, of course, has become great because of the city, etc. And Caraceni has been one of the most famous family in the tailoring business in Milan. Then most of the tailors in the north of Italy have worked at Caraceni back in the days. And then you have different, schools. You got the Florentine schools, the Neapolitan school, the Apulian school, even. You got Apulian jackets.
Right.
And Sicily, as I was saying, was more influenced by Napoli, whereas the eastern part, whereas the western part, it was more influenced by London because of the trades, and back in the days, the commerce, the trips of between London and Sicily. And not by chance, you can see Creamy's jacket. It's no wonder that you can see in Creamy jacket, you can see the waistline very high, like they do in London. So it's very interesting. It's a very high waistline, very marked waistline with a kind of skirt effect that is very typical of the London cut.
Yes.
So you see all this mixture. It's part of it's very fascinating,
a suit is not always just a suit. It has its own expression depending on what part of Italy it's coming from. Touch on also in Naples the manica camice, because here in America, although some brands that are well-known Italian brands, they do sell that sort of shoulder, but usually as a rule, that's not something people really like here, because they feel that it's more casual, and it doesn't look pressed, it's not clean. So they sort of have an aversion to that sort of look. And it's something you really have to understand, and some people may say, hey, it's a young guy's thing. But when you go to Italy, all types of people are wearing that. already for quite a few years, but it's not in the north really, and it's more from the south.
Exactly. It's a signature. I mean, Napoli has been good enough. Neapolitan tailors have been good enough to follow, a kind of a format. The first dart long to the bottom, the boat shape chest pocket, the manica camicia with the puckering on the sleeve head.
Yes.
Those kind of things. So that it helped them to become a brand. It basically was branding without them knowing that they were branding their jacket.
Because it actually gives the consumer a reason to also buy something new. Because if everything looks the same every season and you're just changing the color of the fabric, you get bored of what it is. So now you have things for summer with the manica camicia, maybe no lining, unconstructed. Then you have your tailored suits, maybe in a flannel or something for the cooler weather. And you have things for weddings or different things like that. So you have a nice combination of different complete styles.
Exactly.
So in Italy, you're I don't know that people would know the names, but you have a favorite house that you like to go to? You like to watch them work?
Well, I mean,
you don't want to name a name.
I can't name any. All the tailors that I've included in the book are, of course, among my favorites. So from Vergallo, but also Caraceni. I know them. I know all the Caraceni, from A. Caraceni to Nicoletta Caraceni to Tommy and Julie in Rome. I mean, it's like asking me whether I prefer risotto or pizza. Risotto is from Milan and pizza is from Naples. I love both. They're different things.
That's a diplomatic answer.
No, but it's the truth. I mean, I like Neapolitan tailoring when it comes to sports jackets, to blazers, to less stiff tailoring. If I had probably to make, if I wanted to make a smoking tuxedo today, probably I would not go to Napoli because I would prefer straighter lines.
More structure.
And but I also love the Neapolitan the Florentine construction of Liverano. So if I want to have a sports jacket with window pane pattern, I love having the jacket made there because their construction doesn't break the pattern on the front.
Match the window pane.
So otherwise, with the first dart, you always get a little bit of visual noise given by the dart. That's normal. So and if I wanted to have a fish mouth cran, I would go to Paris. Or if I wanted to have a slanted lapel line here, I would go to Madrid or Barcelona. If I wanted to get a teba, of course, I would go to Spain, either Madrid or Barcelona or Asturias. It's the connoisseur picks the best from
and like you said, just as you're explaining right now, it all comes from the culture. It's all the culture that's influencing all these different design motifs when it comes to the different styles of the jackets, even within the same country.
Exactly.
So it's very, very interesting. So what is the future of Bespoke Dudes and the future of TBD Eyewear and the future of blogging for you? Where's it all going to go? Is it going to culminate into one thing, or it's going to stay little offshoots or expand into more?
Well, that's a good question, to be honest. Now I'm focusing a lot of energy. I'm putting a lot of energy and work on TBD Eyewear because that's probably, even if it's growing a lot, it still needs a lot of my attention. And then in 2021, I launched another brand, which is the Fleece Milano. So a brand of knitwear, handmade in Italy knitwear. So it's another world. We're still starting. We're still in the startup process. But
in cashmere or merino wools or combination?
Cashmere, 100% cashmere. And for actually this polo shirt is from the fleece, and it's in the summer collection. And we had it made again, consistency. We had it made in Napoli with hand stitched sleeve head and shoulder and the mother of pearl buttons, mounted by hand, etc., etc. So, these things, you see, I love creating a fil rouge among all my ventures, And then who knows when, and then I'm working as a consultant for other brands as well. So people are giving me shares in the company in order to, help them out with the finding suppliers or digital marketing. So I take care of performance marketing campaigns like Instagram, Facebook campaigns, Google Ads campaigns, SEO campaigns. So SEO, basically search engine optimization projects. And so one day probably will all merge into a holding. Right. And who knows what it will become. That's for sure. One thing is for sure. It will be for sure about craftsmanship.
Right.
So I mean, I like this word. Details. Yeah, I like the industry. I love the industry. So whether it be suits or glasses or polo shirts or cashmere cardigans or books, it will be everything related to that. Right. So it must be around that industry.
So it sounds fantastic from the one startup venture of just blogging, how it's blossomed into all of these different things, and also working with other brands and consulting with other brands. And it's really amazing, we are in touch infrequently, I would say, maybe here and there on Instagram, and we met only one time a while ago, but you feel like the person's in the same industry as you sort of know over the years, they must be looking at suits today. What are they doing today? And now that talking to you face to face, you see the culmination of what you had mentioned years ago and where it's gone to now. I mean, it's really incredible journey. And so where could people actually buy the book?
On thefleecemilano.com. So here you can find copies of volume 1. And actually by the end of June, hopefully, volume 2 will be finally ready. I'm doing the final, tuning to volume 2. Yeah, and it will be volume 2. It will be about British and French tailoring. So
very interesting.
And hopefully will become like a collection. So volume 3.
Right, you'll have an idea for volume 3. So you'll make a nice collection.
South Korea and Japan, probably.
Right. Oh, that's Japan is very interesting for clothing. They have a lot of interesting. They have brands. They make a beautiful product in the handmade suits. I've seen it before. I've seen it before. So, and also make some interesting shoes too. All bespoke. A lot of bespoke shoes. Everyone knows they're known for the denim.
Yeah,
the Japanese denim.
Salvage denim. Yeah.
Right. Everyone knows salvage denim. Absolutely. That's right. Salvage denim.
We are both geeks of the industry.
Look, absolutely. Absolutely. People always ask me, "Oh, can I get the open buttonholes on my jacket?" Well, why do you want the open buttonholes on the jacket? They just want it. What's the history? What's the purpose? Could I wear more French cuff shirts? Because they want to pretend
that the suit is artisanal. That's
right. That's right. It became one of those things now that a lot of suits have open buttonholes. Years ago, there were none.
Yeah.
But now, everyone says, "Oh, I want it." Even look me, I don't wear it. I don't have it open. On my own.
Mine are open, but I keep them fast.
You keep it closed, right? I have a few suits. I keep the first 2 open, just a few, but otherwise, it has no. I'm not a doctor. Surgeon sleeves. I don't have to roll my sleeves to see the patient. When I come into the room.
And on top of that, it's not that detail that makes the difference. It's the fit. It's not completely.
The fit is the number one thing. The fit is number one. Always, I tell people you could have beautiful fabric, beautiful construction, but if the fit is not there, it's not worth $10 because you're not going to wear it if it doesn't have the right fit. The fit is everything. So listen, Fabio, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and discussing your sort of life story and the journey that you've taken from the beginning all the way up to this point. And hopefully we'll do it again sometime and we'll hear about some new things
with pleasure
that you'll be doing. And if I come to Italy, of course, I hope to see you there.
Please do.
I haven't been because of the pandemic in a few years, but I hope to get back to Pitti also sometime and look at all the new things. Not this June, but but we'll see what happens in the next year.
January 23.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the next year.
Good.
Yeah, so I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you, and it was a really great conversation. Excellent.
Likewise. Thank you very much for your time and for inviting me.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye, ciao.